I have been using the theme of the Season of Nonviolence for over 20 years. And that was started years and years ago by New Thought Ministries. They made connections with Martin Luther King's family and with Arun Gandhi, the grandson of Gandhi, who was my very close friend. I didn't know him at this time. And they took a train across America and did stops at different ministries in different places and led talks on peace and nonviolence. Now, Martin Luther King, I don't know how many of you know, actually believed that Gandhi was his guide. The professor that was closest to Martin Luther King had stayed and spent years with Gandhi. So most people don't know the influence of Gandhi on Martin Luther King. And the march in Selma was really an outpicturing of the Salt March that Mahatma Gandhi did. So there's many threads there that most people don't know. And just before he did the march to Selma, Martin Luther King went to India and went to the special place where Gandhi would meet with British officials, and we actually got to go there also. And there's a special room where Gandhi called his office, and he often, when he was spending the night, would sleep on a mat there, and his spinning wheel was there. Now, it's all in glass, and no one's allowed to go in there. You know, it's a locked, beautiful space. And Martin Luther King, he came with his wife and his children, spent the day talking to people, the library. Gandhi wrote over 80 books, and he only wrote books when he was in prison. So you know how long he was in prison. His wife died in prison. And Martin Luther King spent the day talking to the officials and looking at everything, and he wanted to go into that sacred room. Now, he wanted to go in and spend the night. Now, it's getting late, everything's closing, and no one is allowed in there. That's the rule. Well, they ended up saying, well, we'll call the board. Well, we'll call so-and-so. We'll call so-and-so. And he was allowed to spend the night in that room. He slept on the floor. And within days, the march in Selma happened. So nonviolence and the path of peace, which we are talking about, is very much a part of unity and New Thought. It's not something that's new to us. So I've been teaching it for years. The book that we have 3 of these available. We had 4, but Jan's already bought one. So they're on the back table in the bookstore, and this is by S. Warren. I love this little book. And it's called The Strength in the Storm, and you go, well, how does that have to do with peace? Well, the idea that peace exists in a vacuum is not true. It occurs in real life if we want it to last. And how do we take that kind of peace, that kind of knowing, and transform our lives? And I'm just going to ask, are you willing? Yes. Anyone watching the Peace Monks watch across the planet? 2,300 miles they're walking, many of them barefoot. Just an amazing outpicturing of concern for our planet and our world. This particular sect of Buddhism, this is a ritual that has been followed for thousands of years. When there is a time in the world where there needs a healing, where peace needs to happen, monks walk. I don't know if you knew that history. And that history brings us to the point, as they say over and over, it's not about religion and it's not about politics. It's about peace. And there's nothing that needs to divide us, only to bring us together. Now, if you've watched the stories, the leader, young man who's the leader, was asked, has any of this touched you? Have you cried? He said, oh, yes, I only expected 1,000 people on the whole walk. When there are tens of thousands of people at the Capitol in Richmond, Virginia. I think there were 100,000 people there. He said, I cried. I never knew. He had had this dream for 3 years, and he had talked to his teacher, and his teacher said, I can't, we need you here. You can't go. And he kept having it, and he asked again, and his teacher said, all right, if you feel this is important. And it took 2 years to plan. They're 2 days from Washington, D.C. They will be at the National Church, Episcopal Church in Washington, D.C. They will be in large venues. They will be in at Lincoln Memorial. It's Lincoln's birthday the next day. I mean, just the bringing together, and so many people have come to them, a young man saying, I was committing suicide today, but I came here instead. People bringing their parents' ashes, little children that can not speak or talk and are touched by the monks, and the pup, and the puppy, and the dog. So as we look at our journey of peace, and I Walk for Peace, I named this before I even knew there were monks walking across the nation. What is it saying to you and me? How are we handling life, and how could we find peace? And part of the title of this book by S. Warren is Handling Stress. Now you would think, does everyone here have stress? I mean, I don't need to have a raise of hands, right? Now, even this morning, I couldn't decide what to wear, and I got stressed. I'm talking about stress. I'm telling DePaul, now, what do you think? What do you think? And all of a sudden, I'm like, almost hyperventilating. Isn't it strange? Stress about what I was going to wear, or how I'm going to talk. What am I going to share? So we all have stress. Would you agree? It's what we do with the stress. Now, I'm not going to once again ask you to raise your hand about, does anyone in this room worry? Maybe. Has anyone in this room ever rush? Yeah. Does anyone in this room ever feel tense? So I am in the right place at the right time. As Warren tells us that tension, stress, and rushing and worrying creates negative energy. And we think, oh, we're going to be fine, and we are maybe creating negative results. So we might want to think about stress and tension and how we see that. So how do we transform to peace? Are you curious? And I know you all have moments of peace. However, are we practicing peace on a daily basis? Now, the last 2 weeks, 1 week I did a meditation on peace, and then I did a visualization last week, gave you a little booklet to keep notes. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands again. How many of you are meditating on peace during the week? Mm-hmm. Good. I'm sure it's everybody in this room is meditating on peace because we're called to it. We all want peace, and yet we're thinking that someone would do it for us. Oh, if only they would get along, or only if that wouldn't happen, or if only people like that were treated differently. Peace is an individual practice. You can't expect anyone else to live peace if we're not. Dang. aren't you sure someone else could do it for you? Please. Oh, my responsibility. Now, as Warren talks about, one of the things that happens was rushing and worrying. And what was that wonderful word I read from Eric Butterworth? Fretting. We talked about how often do we fret? You know, it seems so non-important. The time we spend on fretting, we could use towards peace. Ah, that's right. That is true, isn't it? How do I shift from fretting and worrying and feeling out of control? Anyone ever feel like I did this morning, just a few moments of out of control? Yes. Do you know what S. Warren shares? Slow down. Slow down. Now, most of us want to hurry to get through it. Slow down and stop. And you probably know what the next word is. Breathe. Stop and breathe. Instead of rushing and hurrying, just stop. Take a moment. What's this going to help me accomplish? Am I going to get there sooner? Is somebody going to listen to me in a different way if I'm forcing myself on them? Slow down when you feel out of control. It seems so simple. When you feel out of sorts, slow down. Stop. Get your breath and remember who you are. Spiritual being. A spiritual being. Is this too hard for you? No, it's not hard. And yet, we abandon it all the time. Would you agree? Yes, we do. We do. We do. We do. So besides slowing down, the next point, as Warren talks about, is we live, if we can come to a place of being in the present moment. Now, is that any challenging for anyone else? And so some of you are feeling that right now. You would rather be somewhere else than right here. You'd rather be at coffee. You'd rather be somewhere else, seeing your friend, talking to someone. Living in the present moment is one of the hardest things to do. Would you agree with me? And why? I don't know. And he talks about that so many of us spend our lives in the past. How many of us in the last 24 hours, 48 hours have been thinking about someone from the past, something that had happened, something that occurred, classmate? One person, 2, 3, 4. Every day I think of something from the past. Yes? So that's actually memories. He says that's almost 1/3 of your day. You go back and forth, right? You're here and you're there, and you're here and you're there. It's dizzy, here and there. And then how many of you start thinking about the future? We have fear about the future. We have joy about the future. We're traveling on the future. We've got to have so much savings in the bank in the future. So, as Warren says, Buddha used to call this sleepwalking. We have 1/3 in the past, 1/3 in the future, and we only have 1/3 today. Now, what's going on? Could we control our mind? This is the question. As Warren's talking about your state of mind, can you have a point of interest in this moment? Could you be interested in this moment? Could you be present in this moment? Otherwise, we're like this, sleepwalking, in and out, in and out. Have you ever heard it put that way? Fascinating, isn't it? It's my new word. I love the word fascinating. And when we are going in and out, we lose contact with who we really are. He talks about, how many of you make a list of to-dos? He says, how about if we make a list of to-bes? How about if we list what I'd like to be today versus what I'm going to do today? Good. Am I willing to be here today? Am I willing to be present today? Because the only way I can be at peace is in the present moment. The only way I can be at peace is at the present moment. And there's no use pointing my finger at everybody else if I'm not in the moment and willing to be at peace. That pointing the finger doesn't get us anywhere. I have a responsibility for my peace. So he suggests we go home, we write a list. You can have a to-do list, of course, for a day. How many of you have done to-do lists for months ahead? That would be me. And then we're not in the moment. We skip the moment, and we're out there somewhere. So slow down. What was the next one? Breathe. And be present in the moment. Be present in the moment with your thoughts, your ideas, and see if you can bring your life center. If we're always in the past, we're always in the future, we're missing today. And today is where peace is. Today is where peace is. And the monks are saying that to millions of people. Peace is in this moment. The next moment is another moment of peace. This moment is a moment of peace. And the question is, are you willing? So we're going to move into our meditation. I always ask to have the lights down. It's humor. Get comfortable in your chair. Would you be willing to commit 5 minutes every day to slow down and be at peace? Would I be willing? Just ask yourself. No one has to know. Would I be willing to slow down and be at peace for 5 minutes? You see, the world is asking us to be at peace. And every individual on the planet counts. We make a difference. The monks make a difference. Millions of people breathing peace makes a difference. Myrtle Fillmore talked about living in the present moment. Living in the present moment. Breathing peace through meditation. So I'm going to use some words. I'm going to invite you to use them for yourself if you want, or the words that you use when you're meditating. Now, meditating is different than praying. Praying is asking. Meditating is being. So we begin by the breath, breathing in and breathing out. We relax the mind, the heart, and the body. And we are in this present moment. I'm here now. When other thoughts come to me, I gently let them go. When other memories come to me, I gently let them go. And I bring my focus back to this very moment. If you're not able to hear me, please raise your hand. Quiet. These are words I use. You may repeat them to yourself or use something else. I am at peace. Quiet, calm, safe, and secure. I am at peace. I am at peace. Quiet, calm, safe, secure. I am at peace. Just slowing that breath down. Quiet, quiet. Slowing the mind. And now I invite you to place your left hand on your heart and then your right hand over it. This is one of the things the monks asked. Breathing in and breathing out, your heart is connected to the heartbeat of all, of all. We're going to sit in the silence and experience the heartbeat of all. If your mind begins to wander, come back to I am peace. I am peace. am quiet. I am calm. I am safe. I am secure. I am at peace. This peace is a sacred connection with that which we call God, which we call the higher power, which we call many names. The beloved, the sweetness of life is here and now. Here and now. Let us take this moment and live it and remember it and practice it. I am at peace. Say it gently with me. I am at peace. I am at peace. I am at peace. I am at peace. I carry this energy field with me wherever I go. I am at peace. Very slowly, I call them cat eyes, gently opening those eyes. Natural smile upon your face. Oh, your willingness to stop and be at peace is so beautiful. And we send that wavelength out beyond these doors. We say, and we just put that stress in the basement. Let's move forward with peace. Let's move forward. Slow down and remember to be present. And so it is.